Welcome to another edition of Wings Weekly. Jay Klein-Connect here, along with head coach Scott Langer, as usual. Coach, a lot of this feels a little bit like being repeated, since, of course, there was the awards banquet yesterday and a lot of Thanksgiving and so on. But, I mean, a 9-1 win on Friday night. Power play went 1 of 3. Penalty kill killed off all 3 that it needed to. Dubois had 4 goals, contested with 5 points. You and I talked a little bit Saturday before the game about how important it was for the leaders to really stand up, and a guy like Dubois, to kind of put the team on his shoulders in a sense, and just say, hey guys, this is the way we're going. Come with me. That was a huge win Friday night. It really set a tempo.
No, it did, and you talk about the leadership part of it, like the 20-year-olds this weekend, they shined. And it's the time of the year that you need those guys to do that, and not just depend on some of the younger guys that are in the room. So Owen, great performance, probably the best performance of his career. I'll probably tell you that. They were all good goals, every one of them, and and then you see Contessa get on the board 5 different times. It's the only way you're going to be successful to either make the playoffs or do well in the playoffs, is to have your leaders leading like that.
Again, a huge win on Friday night. You and I talked, you mentioned it. You said, in a sense, you almost want it to be a little bit more contested, a little bit more close, so guys don't come into the locker room and come out thinking, oh, this is going to be an easy one. But then you turn around on Friday night, a tight game. It was a tie game for a while there, and then it gets broken open again by a leader and by a veteran player in Patrick O'Connell with 2 goals. And after you take the lead there late in the third or midway through the third, it just seemed like everything everything was going your way once again, and it just I don't even know, I don't want to say the wheels fell off for St. Cloud or whatever, because that's not what I mean, because obviously they continued to push, they continued to play hard, but you guys, it just seemed like everything started clicking. So again, power play was 0 of 3, but PK allowed 1 on 3, but again, a huge win in front of a great crowd on both Friday and Saturday night. That means so much as you exit the regular season and clinch a playoff spot. We talked about it. Conceivably going from 5th to 2nd, that's exactly what happened. You end up in the number 2 seed with that playoff, or in the playoffs, with that win on Saturday night. Your thoughts on Saturday?
Well, our guys were determined, that's for sure. I mean, we didn't have that mentality that it was going to come easy, and that was really good of our leadership group to make sure our team's mentally in it the right way. And they awarded them a goal, which made it 3-3. That didn't look like a goal, but I think we could have easily got down in that situation. That's a hard one. The amount of time it took them to figure it out, and then him calling it a goal. But our guys they stayed in it. Yeah. They were determined, and Parker comes to the bench and says we're good, and we were. We just kept going and going, and obviously the result was really good. But St. Cloud played hard. The scores weren't indicative of those 2 games as far as the work rate goes between 2 teams. They came out on Saturday with something to prove. You could tell that, and they thought it was a big game for them, and we just made some plays, and this weekend, a lot of the stuff we've been working on for so many months actually came to fruition. So I think if we can continue to play that way, we can have some success.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because that is kind of where I was going with my next question, which is dialed in, things clicking, headed the right direction. Something that you and Coach Stepan have talked about over the course of the last months, really. Now, there's been some level of frustration, and it's like you guys have to do what we're teaching you to do, what you're showing you to do, and all of a sudden this weekend it just really seemed like it just kind of a switch was flipped in a sense. So do you, as a head coach, and of course Coach Stepan, I'm asking you in a sense to speak for him, but I'm sure you've shared these thoughts, do you feel like you are on the right foot going into the playoffs?
Yeah, I do. I think it's harder if you're the team that wasn't successful going in. You know, we had a really good work rate the last 4 games, and you and I talked about it. Like, we got swept at home. That was hard, you know, and then our guys reacted to it in a professional manner, in the right way. They went back to work, and we needed to basically win 4 games in a row against a very good hockey team, and we found a way, and we did it multiple different ways. We had good goaltending, we had timely scoring, we were physical, but I think that equals some confidence. And our guys are now understanding that when they play like they played, we can have a lot of success. And we know this division's wide open for the taking. It's, you know, whether it's Austin, St. Cloud, you know, us or Minot, anybody can beat anybody on any given night. It's going to make for a real exciting playoff, and it's going to be some really good hockey.
Boy, you said it. I've talked with, you know, guys from Austin, I've talked to guys from Minot and so on, that and we've all kind of shared that whoever gets in, you know, to the playoffs, and now of course we know who those teams are, and even Bismarck, you know, a huge push at the end of the season once again for them to just be on the outside looking in. But so many teams that are so close, and as you said, and I know it sounds cliche because I say it all the time, but anybody can beat anybody on any given night. So that means doesn't matter if you're a 4 seed, a 1 seed, whatever, as you come into these playoffs, it is going to be a dogfight for sure. And you mentioned it at the awards banquet last night. It's a storm. It changes. The seasons are over. The regular season is gone. It's done. Now it's a whole nother level. It's playoff hockey, and that is a different beast in its own right. You know, you mentioned it with the Ice Bay. I can remember years ago coming out of Austin and sweeping Austin, but okay, maybe not everyone, but almost everyone had an ice bag on a shoulder, on a knee, whatever, and it was just like, man, these guys are giving it up. They are laying it out there for this team and for each other, and it really does. You know, it's an elevated level of play. It is.
It's every game just seems to be tight. So the one mistake can cost you a game. So yeah, I mean, it's just a different brand of sport. You know, when hockey gets into playoff time, guys are playing hurt. They're doing everything they can to help their team win hockey games. You see a lot of sacrificing out there of players. That's just who they are, who we are. You know, we're hockey people, and that's what that's what we've seen from the best of the best growing up and watching some of those unbelievable efforts, and you know, them teams winning Stanley Cups because there's been so much sacrifice. So yeah, I mean, we did talk about the storm, and the playoffs are a storm, and we need to be stronger than the storm.
Yeah, I don't know, goosebumps. I love that stuff, and I love the playoff mentality, and like I said, it doesn't matter where you finish, how you finish the regular season. It's a whole different world now, and that is fantastic. You know, a great way to really kind of kick it off with the awards banquet yesterday. I want to run through, you know, the awards recipients before we get into the rest here, but also the guys that are not going to be returning, that are aging out and moving on to bigger, better things in many cases. But Devin Karlstrom, Kyle Contessa, Owen Dubois, Alex Gullickson, Landon Parker, Michael Casey, Patrick O'Connell, Nick Justice, Cole Moore, all receiving, well, will be receiving their black away jerseys when the season is over, but just what these guys have meant to the team and, you know, to the community, and the amount of time that they've spent, you know, with the Wings on their sweater, but as we talked about, even in the community, just the things that they do to be involved and to grow the sport and grow the team, all the things, all the sacrifices that they've done. It's awesome to be able to recognize them and give them that round of applause and so on, but, you know, as they transition out of junior hockey, you know, they're different people than when they first got here, and I just think that's an amazing thing, you know, for everyone to be able to see and for us to show some appreciation. So, you know, again, I don't know that there's a question here other than what does it mean to you as a coach to be able to see these guys grow the way that they do?
Well, that's the best part of it. You know, that's the one great thing about hockey is we have a level that is between high school and college. Where there's really nothing like it in sports. So it's some of their major maturity years where you really see them go from young to man.
Yeah.
Because they're having to figure it out on their own and to live, you know, and to fend for themselves a little bit and rely on each other. So, you know, giving them their jerseys is the least you can do. And for them to graduate junior hockey, and we're a proud organization to have those guys. They'll always be part of our organization. They'll be up on the board in the lounge, and I think it's a huge deal that the Odie family present those guys with their jersey as they move on.
No doubt. Well, speaking of some of the awards, the Nancy Odie Merit Award this year went to Ryan and Tara Hickson. You know, we talk about the behind-the-scenes people that are so involved and do so much, and they are certainly among them. You know, Ryan probably maybe not so unnoticed because he's ripping around on a four-wheeler all the time in intermissions and so on. But all the things that they do, it's certainly deserving of that great award, the Nancy Odie Merit Award. Rookie of the Year went to Nikolai Tishkovich, most improved player. Luke Backel, Offensive Player of the Year, Nikolai Tishkovich as well. And then a Defensive Player, Devin Karlstrom. The Hard Hat Award went to Bennett Kopel. The Odie Community Service Award went to Zach Rhyme. The Hart Award went to Bennett Kopel. So a couple of duplicate winners there, but the heart and that they put in and the work that they put in, and of course the MVP Cole Moore, who you know, like we talked about, asked early on to really, you know, put it all on the line when Gino Pecora was injured, and Cole just, you know, stepped to the plate and kind of, you know, in many cases, as we talked about, maybe goals weren't coming quite so easily, but Cole kept the Wings in games, and it's just fantastic to see all of those guys get awarded. And like I mentioned last night, I mean, everybody on that table, on the head table, all the players, probably you could pick any of them for a lot of different awards, and we appreciate everything that they do, but certainly great to recognize these guys. And each of them, it's an award. These awards are awarded and voted on by their peers, by the guys in the locker room, by the coaches, and so on. So it means a lot to them, no doubt. The award show, I guess, or banquet, you know, something that you and Tiffany brought here to the Wings, and it just seems like it's getting better each year. I think Greg mentioned that last night, that every year it just feels like it's growing and getting more emotional, more everything. What does it mean to you to see these guys, you know, being recognized? You know, you mentioned seeing a young man that comes in as a first-year guy, and they grow so much, like a Luke Backel, who wins the most improved award, or a Nikolai Tishkovich, who comes all the way from Minsk and completely out of his culture, out of everything, and to see the strides that they've taken.
Yeah, it's really fun, you know. Yeah, like you said, I mean, these awards are voted by their peers, and to be thought about, you know, there really wasn't any real. I mean, there was a couple close, you know, but it was pretty determined, you know, who those award winners were, and it was great to see a lot of the young guys, you know, be thought of by the older guys as well. Obviously Cole, and you know, we need to be honest, Cole got us to this point. He just did. I mean, obviously we did everything we could around him, but Cole has been asked to take on a lot.
Yes, he has.
And his season last year was cut short. So you can't say he was used to playing that amount of games, and he's done a really good job of handling it, and he certainly was our MVP. It was great to see. You know, you look at Luke Backel, he was told he was on the outside looking in from the staff before, and finally in my night I just asked him if he could play center. He said yep, and from that day on I don't think he's been out of the lineup. He's made a case for himself every single night. You know, even on a bad night, he is a physical specimen, and he's hard to play against. So, yeah, and then, you know, Tishkovich, he deserves those awards for how hard he works and how good he is to his own body, and what a person he is. You know, comes over from another country, and just an unbelievable human being. And
such a nice guy. He's so smiley and nice all the time. It just kills me to see him out there chirping guys and pushing and shoving. I'm just like, wait, who is this again? You know, it's just funny to see the fire that he plays with.
He's just a competitive kid, and he's only going to get better. He's only in 04. You know, he still has a couple years of junior hockey if they end up having him play it. So certainly would love to have him back, and all these guys that won those awards. You look at the Kupel Awards, you know, and those weren't close. His teammates thought a lot of him, as did the staff. You know, and I'm sure the fans appreciate him too, how hard he works, and he never talks about ice time. He's never a guy, when he gets it, he goes after it. And the last guy that we were able to bring back that won those awards was named our captain, and that was Nick Sicoli. You know, so hopefully Bennett understands how big of an award both those Hart and Hard Hat awards are for this organization.
Yeah, I'm no denying that. And, you know, I mentioned it last night. I had him on the show a couple weeks ago, and I think I even told him that, you know, he just reminds me of this pit bull. This, you know, he just goes all the time. You never see him just kind of standing around. He's always moving, and certainly a great recipient, a well-deserved awards for the Hart Award and Hard Hat Award there.
Well, when we brought Bennett on, just quick story, is one of the old faces of the Aberdeen Wings, Kevin Fitzgerald, called me.
Okay.
Said, did you pick up Bennett Kupel? And he's like, yeah, do you like him? He goes, a nail gun. That was all he told me. And from that point on, I mean, he's another guy like Luke Backel that sat until he got a chance, and when he got a chance, he refused to get out of the lineup.
I love that. Fitzy nail gun. What does that even mean? It just means that he's just a guy that's just constantly going?
Yeah, that's him. He's a nail gun.
Yeah, Fitzy, a character, would come up with that, I can imagine. All right, so St. Cloud, you've seen them the last 2 weekends in a row, swept them over the last couple of games here, you know, in their place and here at the ODI Center. But like you and I just mentioned, not easy, you know. And even on the stat sheet, when you look at the numbers, goals scored, that is a hard team to play against, and they're very good and well coached and so on. What do you do anything different, or do you kind of treat this coming weekend just like you did this last one?
Well, you know Corey's going to have his team ready. That's just what Corey does. He does a great job with that. So Brock as well, their assistant coach, does a great job. So they're going to be a ready team. And there's a lot of guys on that team that played all the way to the Robertson Cup last year.
Yep.
So they have guys in that room that understand what it takes to win a playoff game. Yep. And we need to understand that we're going to have to be really good, and we're going to have to play with our depth, and all of our guys are going to have to pitch in. And it's going to be great hockey. They're a fast hockey club, and they're well coached. So I think it's just going to be set up to be a good series.
Certainly one to look forward to, folks, and I mean, just the amount of excitement in the community after those big wins this weekend. You know, again, the award show, just talking about the different level of playoff hockey. I know that the ODI Center will be jammed and rocking this coming weekend as the Wings host the St. Cloud Norsemen. Again, finishing second overall in the standings with 66 points. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Or not even joining us, but hosting or co-hosting this show with me. And it's just been great to see this team's transformation in a lot of ways, and the growth, because it really does seem like the needle, the level is going up at the right time, and that is fantastic to see. So thank you so much for your time and all of your insights, certainly, and good luck against the Norsemen.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, folks, second portion of Wings Weekly coming up after this.
Time. We're gonna be here all day.
Once upon the greatest of all times.
Who's this? It's Kyler Murray. Kyler. Bring my phone to 6th Street. We gotta wrap this up. We're looking for Kyler! Just left. Sinead.
I'll take those wings, though. Wanna catch the game? Yo, Josh, what's up?
Yo, Sinead.
Josh.
To the film room!
Wow!
Wrong quarterback. Can't even see the screen.
B-dubs.
Where's my phone?
Wrong quarterback, bro. To the greatest of all brands.
To the greatest of all times, Buffalo Wild Wings.
And the second portion of Wings Weekly continues on, and as usual, a player is joining me. And now this player is someone that all of you know. He's been around for a couple of years now. We've had him on the show before, but our captain, Owen Dubois. Doobie, thanks so much for joining us here again.
Thanks for having me.
I've got to start, obviously, with, a hat trick and then one. On Friday night, it just seemed like you were on another level. Like, I mean, I mentioned it to Coach, and I know that, again, these sports cliches, sometimes they just get repeated, but you literally just seemed like you were like, guys, this is the way we're going, come with me, and just kind of, led, like the C on your sweater says, you just kind of said, we're going. What was that moment like? Did it kind of seem surreal?
Oh, it was very surreal. We've kind of been talking about, there's been this joke going around that I was going to get a hat trick, and it's been going on since Christmas, and it was just a joke. And I knew I only had 2 games left, so might as well try to get one.
Comes into the weekend with 8 goals and scores 4 of them on Friday night. 4 more, I should say, on Friday night. I had to laugh. Aaron told me that he was giving you a hard time a little bit during the on-ice interview. Mm-hmm. So he comes up and I'm like, seriously, you had to rub it in like that to him? And he goes, well, he took it pretty well. He said, I'm not getting a hat trick on an empty netter. I thought that was pretty great. What a great response that is. If everybody's giving you a hard time about it and you're like, that's not how I'm going to get one. I'm going to get one the right way.
That's right.
Unreal. All right. Physical matchup there. You win 9-1 Friday. The next night, you guys come out and it's again a physical matchup, closely contested. You mentioned it again on the on-ice interview that physicality was a big part of what was getting you guys there. And Coach and I have talked about, honestly, probably for months, we've talked about the fact that when the Wings are physical and are, aggressive in that sense, that you do well, that you tend to win when things are physical. But like Coach said, human nature, you don't want to get hit. You don't step in front of a car, unless you're a goalie, then you step in front of pucks. But they're a little weird, so we'll leave that part alone. But my point is the human nature aspect of it is you're not looking for contact. So it is something in a sense that has to be kind of taught, or not taught, reached for, earned, you know what I mean? Like, I can't think of the word I'm trying to say here, but it's something that you have to make a decision to do. And game in and game out, sometimes there have been games when you guys haven't been all that physical. What's the difference?
Well, I think everyone just kind of knows what's on the line, and everyone wants to do everything they can to win, and everyone knows that, we're a better team when we play physical, so if that's going to give us the best chance we have to win, people just kind of put their bodies on the line and put the team above themselves.
Yeah. Well, and that's what has to happen. Honestly, when you get to this point, when you get to playoff hockey, Coach and I were just talking about it. He mentioned it at the awards banquet yesterday that that it is playoff hockey is just a different beast, and you're no stranger to it. You've seen it before. You've felt it. You know the difference between regular seasons. These games are hard-fought battles for sure, but when it comes to playoff hockey, it's just another level. How do you, as a captain and a leader of this team, you look at guys that have that are first-year guys that haven't experienced that in the juniors and in the North American Hockey League, how intense it actually is. Is there something that you guys actually talk about, or that you can kind of say to them, like, man, you don't get it, like it's gonna be wild?
Yeah, I think that the last 2 weeks have been a pretty good sneak peek as to what playoffs are going to be like, just because both teams were fighting for a spot, and we came out on top, thankfully, but I think it was kind of like a sneak peek in the playoffs, so the younger guys kind of have an idea of what we're going into, but
good point.
Yeah, so that definitely helps.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because the intensity has been there when it's do or die, and you need those points. It is that level of play has been kind of replicated or simulated anyway. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so as a captain, I was talking with Coach about the awards banquet yesterday, and to be able to see all those people that come out. and the families. You know, I talked with your aunt, I believe it was. There's, you know, many others that made the trip to come to the awards banquet, and you know, what does that mean to you guys as players to sit at that head table and just look over? I mean, granted, you see 1,800 people in the stands at the ODI Center during a game, but to see them on a Sunday evening that are, you know, they're coming out to support you guys. I mean, what does that feel like?
Yeah, it's one thing to see a bunch of fans in the stands, because when you're on the bench and you're looking up, you just see fans. But when you're sitting at that long table and there's however many people there were at the banquet, it's a little bit more personable.
Yeah.
And you kind of think, okay, like these people are actually, like, they really care. And, you know, that means a lot to everyone.
Well, that level of support, you know, you know, when many, whether it's Coach Stepan, whether it was, you know, Greg Odie or you know, Coach Langer, everybody, it may seem like it goes unnoticed, but even to the players, I think it definitely is, you know, very deeply appreciated. All of the hard work that goes in and all of the passion that the fans have. So that's pretty cool. All right, well, moving on. I mean, here we are in the playoffs. The regular season is over. You know, I was saying seasons change, and here we are at 5 degrees and sunny, and the snow is melting. And the seasons literally are changing, and now it's playoffs. We talked about the fact that, you know, there has been some pretty intense play over the last couple of weeks against this team. Now you face them in the first round, the same team. There's some tensions, you know, that happen when you play a team over and over again. But certainly, I mean, some hits and different things like that, things that are said, things that go on that carry over to the next week. How do you guys how do you stay focused and not let the emotion of all of that, you know, kind of overtake you?
I think the biggest thing for us going into playoffs is going to be to go in with confidence, but not go in overconfident, because we just won 4 straight. We haven't lost to this team all year, but playoffs are a completely different game, and it's always going to be a close game in playoffs. Anything could happen. So if we take them too lightly, then it's not going to go our way. So we just have to keep mentally preparing the way that we have been.
Well, and you know, I always think about it even with the NFL or something like that, where you see 2 teams that have faced each other a couple of times during the year, and you're like, okay, well, you know, they beat them twice this year, but when it comes to the playoffs, to beat them the 3rd time,
right,
that's not easy. So, like you said, to go 8-0 against them during the regular season really doesn't mean all that much, especially if you know, in the playoffs, especially if you take them lightly, and you certainly can't do that, because that is a very good hockey team, and a well-coached hockey team for sure too. Should be absolutely intense and a lot of fun to watch and to keep up with. What do you feel like? Again, you know, we talked physicality. We talked about some of the things that went well this weekend. But in addition to those things, what else? What do you guys, as a locker room, as a group, what do you have to do against this Norseman team?
I think we just got to keep shooting the puck a lot. We're getting a lot of shots on net, and all of our shots are finding their way in the back of the net recently. So if we can find a way to keep that going, then I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah. Well, and like we talked about, physicality, there's certainly a lot of things there. But Dubois as captain and as a 3-year guy, it's been a pleasure to, you know, talk with you and so on here at Wings Weekly, and getting, again, people have seen you several times now, and getting to know you as a person, as a player, and all of those things. Thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, as we talked about, folks, St. Cloud Norsemen come back to the ODI Center. Round 1 of the Robertson Cup playoffs. Doors open at 5:30 and puck drop at 7:15 both nights. As always, tickets are available online, tickets.aberdeenwings.com, or at the door on game nights. $10 general admission tickets are also available at any Sea Express location in Aberdeen with additional purchase. Reserved season ticket holders will receive an email on playoff ticket information. Don't forget, you can listen to Wings Weekly via our podcast. Find the audio for this season's episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit aberdeenwings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. Once again, Captain Owen Dubois, huge weekend, and can't say enough. Great guy, funny, smart, all of those things. Thank you so much for joining me on Wings Weekly.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that'll wrap it up. Playoffs coming up next.